Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Thrive in 5 podcast. I am your host Amy and I am a shopaholic. That is my confession. I am someone who has always loved clothes, always loved getting dressed up, always loved fashion, loved clothes. For as long as I can remember, I've just loved clothes. I've loved getting dressed up. I loved going shopping. When I was a little kid, going shopping with my mum was such a treat. It was something we used to do like during the school holidays. We'd go out and go clothes shopping. I watched Gossip Girl as a sort of teenager / in my late teens, and I was obsessed with Serena's clothes, but also with Blair's. I really loved that kind of preppy look. I read Look magazine every single week. I used to save up my pocket money when I was a teenager to go to Topshop on Oxford Street, RIP. I loved everything about fashion, like picking out outfits, following trends. I remember once my cousin was getting married and I had to buy a dress, and I was obsessed with having, at the time Dior had these like 50s style dresses everywhere. And I wanted that style of dress. I remember taking my mum around like Warehouse and Topshop, desperate to find this style of dress that I wanted. I loved clothes. I always have loved clothes. And I'll be honest and say that clothes haven't always loved me though. When I started work and started progressing in my career, I was so excited to finally have the extra salary to spend on nice clothes. When I was a student, I didn't really have the budget to spend a lot on clothes. I got quite creative in the Topshop sale, I'll be honest, but I didn't have a lot of money to spend on clothes. But when I started work and particularly when I left my graduate scheme and got my like proper grown-up job, I was so excited to have that extra salary to spend on nice clothes. But I really couldn't enjoy it. I really couldn't enjoy that clothes shopping and enjoy that experience, because as well as my salary going up, my body weight was too. I was really overweight and incredibly unhappy in my body, and no matter how much I loved fashion, loved shopping, loved the idea of going shopping, the reality of it never felt fun. I remember once it was a Black Friday, me and my mum were going to go to Selfridges to go buy some jeans, and I remember standing in this changing room and her passing me in pairs of jeans and just getting hotter and hotter and sweatier and sweatier. The Selfridges changing rooms are hot at the best of times anyway, but nothing fitting me. And it just like looking in the mirror and taking every pair of jeans off and looking in the mirror. And I'd worked a really long day and I was just devastated. I remember just crying and coming out and trying to like pretend like I wasn't crying, but I was so upset because I had this money that I wanted to spend on myself and I couldn't, because I hated everything I put my body in. Nothing made me feel good. I ended up resorting to like the same 2 pairs of work trousers that fit. I had one outfit that I wore for every meal out because it was the only thing that I felt comfortable in. It was my kind of safe place. Shopping, I'd always thought that as a grown-up with a salary, shopping and buying clothes was a way of expressing myself, a way of, being who I was. And it just wasn't that anymore for me. I didn't have that because I was so uncomfortable in my body. But what was really interesting is I eventually lost weight, and I've talked on this podcast before about how I lost weight and what happened and that process and the different things that happened, and how there wasn't really a big like light bulb moment for me. Actually, for me, losing weight didn't fix the issue, and that might be controversial, but stick with me. I lost a lot of weight. I was probably, at my lightest, I was probably 30 kilos down from my heaviest. But no matter where I got to in my body, I still felt the same. When I lost weight, I'd still go clothes shopping and it still felt like nothing fitted right. I still felt uncomfortable in my own skin. I still felt like I didn't look how I wanted to look. I was happy I'd lost weight. The number on the scale has brought me a lot of joy, but the reality of my body, that didn't make me feel good. And that was because I hadn't done the work on my relationship with my body. So what happened? I ended up with a wardrobe full of clothes that didn't fit me because they were too big because I'd lost weight, and a wardrobe full of clothes I didn't feel good in even though I'd lost the weight. I was still standing in front of the mirror picking myself apart. I was still buying clothes that didn't make me feel good because nothing made me feel good. Nothing I put my body in made me feel attractive and confident because I didn't have a good relationship with my body. I'd lost the weight, but I hadn't done the work to appreciate the new body that I had. And that was the big realization for me. For so many years, I thought that losing weight would help me feel good about my body. I thought that if I could just be a size 10, then I'd be happy. If I could just get into a size 28 jeans, then I'd be happy. I thought if I could see the scales go below 64 kilos, because that was the number in my head, that was my magic number, then I'd be happy. And it didn't happen because the issue wasn't really my weight. That was a big issue and a big part of the problem, but it was also about how I related to my body, how I treated my body, how I thought about my body, how I understood myself. I had to do a lot of work after I lost weight on my relationship with my body. And that work was quite hard. And, you know, that work was something that I wish I'd done as I was losing weight. I lost weight in reality in a way that didn't allow me to enjoy the body that I had at the end of that weight loss. And that experience of standing in a changing room 30 kilos down from my heaviest and still hating my body, that has guided a lot of the work I now do within the TFP with my clients, because for so many women, it is not about the number on the scale. It's about how you feel in your body. And if you just focus on weight loss in isolation, you don't do the work that's going to allow you to enjoy the fruits of your labour, if you like. It's a whole different kind of work, and that's what we're going to cover off tomorrow. I'm going to talk a little bit about what you can actually do to start to feel good in your body and why that work is different to just losing weight. But if you've ever felt this way, if listening to this episode, you're like, oh, she's speaking to me, you are not alone. It doesn't have to be that way. My Instagram DM link thing is in the episode description of this episode, so please pop me a message if you want to chat. Just want to share your experience. I'm always here to listen. Look forward to speaking to you tomorrow and giving you some solutions to this. But if this episode resonated, do pop me a message and share it with a friend who might need to hear it too, because there are a lot of women out there struggling just like we are.